welcome back to my channel. This is Doreen. I guess it's been a minute. I thought, as of last update, I thought I was going home. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I guess it has been about mid-December, maybe. So we were trying to get it so that my mom could take over, do all the duties, the feeding, cooking, cleaning, water schedule, meds, PT, OT, all of that good stuff. It didn't happen. If you've been around, you know my dad had a pressure wound from being in a rehab nursing home after a hospital stay. They had him for 19 days. He came out with a massive pressure wound. They had to have surgery, and basically you could fit the size of a golf ball inside of his behind, right on the lower part of the spine, down into the bum. And so we've been recovering from that. In December, majority of the skin, everything was healing. A little bit of, issues with some of the skin, new skin. If he was sitting too long or go for a drive for too long, would tear a little bit, so we'd have to keep healing that. But, we've gotten his sugars well in line with his diabetes, which he hasn't been in many, many years. So anyway, I was kind of backing off and getting it so that my mom could do all the things without help with me at home in New Hampshire, and that didn't work out. So then we keep progressing mom up to taking over maybe a little bit more and more every day, trying to, build up conditioning to that. Unfortunately, we got elevated liver enzymes, and my dad's been progressively losing weight. So we've been through a cancer scare now. Still don't know. We're waiting for another set of results regarding what type of cancer, if it's cancer, where we go from here. But we've upped his calories. Before he has a limit of, the cardiologist wants him at 2.5 liters of water. We've kept him at 3 because if not, he gets dehydrated, and then he doesn't have a bowel movement, which those are really important. So a lot of things going on. He has a limit of 2,000 milligrams of sodium every day, 2,200 calories, which we had upped from 2,000. In the last year, my dad has lost about 65, 70 pounds. So we thought we had him at a good plateau at about 229, and then he started losing more and more weight, so we upped his calories. We got this liver enzyme result, which they still at this point aren't 100% sure what it is. They did an MRI of his chest and liver, and there's nothing showing up that's cancerous there. He does have some skin potential of cancer, or it's cancer somewhere that they're just not seeing. So we are trying to find out what it is. We're talking to the endocrinologist, primary care, his cancer doctor, because he has had lung cancer. But it's a lot, and so I've extended my stay, and now we're third week of March, and I'm still in Maine, still at my parents' house, trying to back off and, really condition my mom, but we've both gotten the flu. We do not have any family help. We have a 7-hour-a-week not CNA, I guess she's more of like a home helper for my dad twice a week. So, 2 days a week, 3.5 hours isn't a whole lot, but, you at least both of you can get a break at the same time. My dad has mild dementia, and some days he's really great. You'd never know it. Other days it is really, really, really a struggle. His mood has improved most of the time. He's actually looking forward to doing things like going to the flea market in New Hampshire this summer. And some other things, that he's looking forward to, whereas, especially when he was at the worst of the wound and everything was just difficult and, nursing care, I'm sure having your oldest daughter doing nursing care at your bum and in very personal places, and it's, for a 78-year-old Vietnam veteran, it's difficult. It hurts his pride, and I'm sure I'd be the same way, because I am very much like him. Not a Vietnam veteran, not a veteran, but just in personality, I get it. I can very much sympathize and empathize with how he's feeling. And then there's, sometimes he's angry and he's feisty and just, oh, go home. You can go home. Your mom can do this. Or, we don't need you, go home. And it's a different kind of tone of voice. But I'm here, my mom needs me. My mom can't do it alone. And whether he likes it or not. And, so there's always that part of it. So, it is what it is. There are times I absolutely love. I wouldn't trade, the time I've had with my parents for the last going on 8 months. This is time I've never had with them before, where we've gotten to the point where it's fun. We have a really good time together. My mom and I have always had fun together. She's always been one of my best friends. But my dad and I it was more, let's do a project together, and we do really well together with that. Now we just have fun. We can joke, and yes, we both get tired, we both get cranky, and, it happens. But most of the time, it is fun. I've got to hear his Vietnam stories, ones that I've never heard before. I've gotten to hear stories about him as a kid, and stories I know he hasn't told anybody else. And I will always treasure those, no matter what happens. So, I've been very, very, very fortunate to be able to be here and do this. And my husband's super supportive, because we did this for his parents when they both had cancer, and he had to take time off from work. It was harder then because he was in Florida and I was here up north, and I didn't get to see him for 5 months, and that sucked. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that really sucked. But this way we get to see each other majority of weekends, unless there's a snowstorm like today. I had to go home and get all my tax paperwork and our stuff for that, and stuff so I can file our flex spending. And it's the third week of March, and we're getting a snowstorm. Not super afraid of driving in snowstorms, as you can see, on the road again. So Kurt came home Friday. He was at work in Massachusetts, so he got to come home to my parents' house, and so he stayed and gave my mom a break on Saturday. I left at 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, so I could be there bright and early. So I had all day Saturday, and I left our house at 11:30, and I met up with him in Cornish, Maine, and got to see him, kiss him for the week, and he'll be back in Massachusetts this week. So, it was great that he could come and cover some hours so that I could go and find the paperwork that I needed to, and get all of that together, and kind of switch out some wintry clothes, even though we're in the middle of a freaking snowstorm, because spring is coming, and I wanted to get some of my spring gear wardrobe, and my mud boots, because it is mud season underneath all of this new snow. But yeah, so that, that's hard on him, because he doesn't know the routine there, and he's just like, I'll cover, no worries. And of course my dad's gonna push the boundaries to see if he can get away with stuff. And yeah, so mom's tired, so when I get back, I'll probably go make sure she gets a good nap in, and make dinner. But yeah, so I'm still here, still living in my parents' basement like a little troll. you know, doing what I gotta do there, and we're just waiting to find out what cancer, what the plan is, where we're at. He's just losing weight. We just can't. We keep feeding him, and we just can't get it to stay. And that's probably the biggest concern for me is knowing that his liver enzymes came back and some other test results came back. And I won't go into all of that. Knowing that that's happening and that nobody quite knows. They suspect it's cancer of some sort. Can't find it. So, you know, it's going to be wham in the face, you know. And then 2 weeks ago now, my 15-year-old little lady Emma, you guys have heard Emma in the background if you're watching any of my other videos, or you've seen her in the car with me. She's 15 and has developed diabetes, so I am learning to give my little old lady Dougie insulin, so Vetsulin. Man, I thought people insulin was expensive, but for a month of insulin, she's now at 13 units twice a day, and we have to go to the vet again Tuesday for another blood draw. $200. So, unreal. Yeah. So when my vet, he was our vet when we lived here, and then we've been going to another vet while we lived in New Hampshire, and I love him. He's fantastic. He's dad was a vet, he's a vet, old school, very practical, and he also had to take care of his ailing father, and you know, so he knows the whole, you know, you take care of family comes first, and you know, where else are you gonna be, you know, if you can do it, and you know, yeah. So anyway, he knows exactly what it's like, and he comes into, because Emma wasn't feeling great, and I thought maybe her cancer was back, and I wasn't looking forward to that. And he puts his hand on my arm, and he goes, well, the hits keep coming. And I was like, okay, great. And he's like, she's got diabetes. Her sugars were 500. Because I noticed she was peeing all the time, and I was like, okay, it's either her cancer or diabetes. And I was like, yeah, I kind of figured it was one or the other, and I think I'd rather have the diabetes, I guess. Because they said if she got cancer again, they weren't 100% sure that they would be able to do a lot at her age. And, you know, it's just never easy when they're old. So, yeah. So it's always something, isn't it? But it's all good. I think I'm going to get stopped by the police. Alright, well that's it for now, guys. Hopefully I don't know if that's a cop car or not, but anyway, thanks for watching. I just wanted to give you guys an update. I'll let you know. Nah, it's not a cop. No blue lights. Woohoo! Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye.